On the Weekend Dawn Review today, the Right to Speak initiative is a book compilation of about 40 women writers from across Africa. The books seek to optimize the efforts by African women towards the Beijing Declaration and Platform for action in advancing gender equality and the empowerment of women. The book is written by African women empowered through political, social, economic and cultural activism in the struggle for gender and racial justice. In their roles as leaders and decision makers in private, public and civil society, they have made many undocumented efforts towards the advancement of gender equality and women's empowerment. We now speak to Nozipho January-Bardill, director and founder of Right to Speak, as well as Ssali, editor of The Stories. Good morning to the two of you. Thank you so much for joining us on Weekend Dawn. I'll start off with Nozipho January-Bardill. I'd like to ask you, Nozipho, why the idea to make a coffee table compilation, and also how did you go about selecting the contributors?
Yes, well, good morning, and to all your listeners or viewers. You know, the thing is, it was just a very, very compelling need for me to do this year in 2020. It's something I've always wanted to do, but kind of this year made it possible. I don't know whether it was COVID or I was motivated by the Beijing Platform for Action, knowing that it's going to be 25 years old this year and that UN Women was also going to be 10 years old this year. So those two factors were a huge motivator for us to kind of put the book together and say, no, this year we have to tell our stories. Otherwise, Black African women in particular are going to fade in the annals of history. And somebody said the other day, it's like finding a needle in a haystack to find Black women in history books. We're starting by telling our own personal stories, and our stories particularly of leadership. Many of the women who wrote are leaders. We wanted it to be a Pan-African experience for the reader. So we identified women who were active themselves in their countries, who were leaders, who were doing things that are changing people's lives. And we found them through our networks. Most of them are from South Africa, but many of them are also from 25 other African countries. And Rose was very active in identifying the women from other parts of the continent, herself being from Kenya originally, though she lives in South Africa now.
Rose, I'll bring you in here and actually ask if you can obviously add a little more on this contribution process on finding the right candidates to write. And then, of course, I want to ask the question, since this Beijing Declaration in 1995, do you think a lot has changed in a good way for women?
Good morning to you, Jacob, and to your viewers and listeners. In answer to your question about the recruitment of women, looking back, it was actually fairly easy through the network. It was reaching out to a good friend of mine, one of my authors here, who's from Uganda, and she referred me to Eunice, who is with Akinamama Wa Africa. And then I asked Eunice, who are you connected with in other countries? And that led us to Aquila in Ethiopia, the lady in Chad, and the Gambia and Cameroon. So it's really one woman leading on to the next and the next, and that made it very easy for us.
Nozipho, how do we go about accessing this kind of book? I mean, considering that a lot of people might not be able to get a physical copy, is there a digital version that's available as well?
Yes, the intention is always, of course, to have a hard copy because, a lot of people also still don't have access to the internet. But the intention is also to have it on a digital platform. Definitely, there's no doubt about that. So we're working on that with a team of very young, techie women who know how to do these things. And they are also all over the continent. Yes, because, people are reading from Kindles these days and people are reading online. And so definitely there'll be a digital one available.
My final question to you, Ssali, quickly. How long did it take you to put it all together?
Practically about 5 months. 5 months from Zoom calls, video calls, receiving the manuscripts from various women. And Jacob, remember, these are not professional writers. So it's a really great effort on their part, and it's been a growing experience for many of them, and just really, really great getting to know the women as well.
We'll leave it right there. That was the Executive Director and founder of Right to Speak, Ambassador Nozipho January-Bardill, and Chief Editor of the book, Ssali.